There was always the possible chance of traitors, deserters, or potential would-be spies willing popping up in Konoha, ready to sell Naruto out in exchange to just see him fail miserably. The fact they would be paid and possibly protected from retribution in return for such a thing wouldn't hurt them either if they thought it was possible to get away with screwing him over. While thinking this line of thought, Naruto had an idea on what to do and decided he should call upon otherworldly assistance from those not of this realm. It was possible if Naruto read the rules set forth by the Elder Gods correctly and interpret them in a way that they would not interfere with his plans. So long as Naruto did everything correctly, the Elder Gods couldn't interfere, he would get what he needed, and the tensions between two races would vanish in the process. That, and he was overdue to visit his forefather in Outworld. Naruto has always stated how much he cherished family and would not make himself out to be a liar to that fact. Chapter 7. The Gathering. Naruto stepped out of the portal to Outworld, his faithful bodyguard Kimimaro with him, while the other bodyguards were still in Mist per his orders. Naruto was here on business of warlike and personal nature to further help his ambitions come to light. Upon reaching the palace gates, the guards recognized him and instantly saluted Shao Khan's long-line descendant. Naruto smirked, knowing his forefather would be thrilled to see him, but the proposal he had in mind would astound the emperor. And then there was Kimimaro was going to meet his forefather in Baraka. While that particular Tarkatan demon might not be the actual sire of the Kaguya clan, as it was unknown of the identity of that Tarkatan, Naruto was confident Baraka would want to see Kimimaro's potential and teach him the ancient arts of Tarkatan fighting. "Thank you for bringing me here, Naruto-sama. It is an honor to meet someone of my ancient bloodline," stated Kimimaro, while Naruto let out a chuckle. "I'm sure it is Kimimaro-san. Just be sure to stand up to Baraka should he challenge your right to learn. If you don't, he will come to believe your Tarkatan blood is too weak, and you are unworthy of training. You must stand up to him, challenge him in combat, and show your potential. Only by trial through combat and spilling blood will Baraka deem you worthy," replied Naruto with Kimimaro nodding. "Understood, Naruto-sama," said Kimimaro with conviction in his voice and eyes. "Welcome, Naruto. How is my late son's long-line legacy?" asked Shao Khan with a hearty laugh. "I'm well, my emperor. I've come on personal business and require your blessing on a matter of great importance," answered Naruto, as he kneeled before Shao Khan. "And Kimimaro doing the same?" "Rise, Naruto. You are of my blood and therefore do not have kneel." "Who this that is beside you?" questioned Shao Khan while Naruto rose. But Kimimaro stayed kneeling and looked up at the emperor. "I am Kaguya Kimimaro, your majesty. I am Naruto-sama's humble servant and loyal bodyguard," answered Kimimaro with Shao Khan, examining him with careful eyes. "Is there any particular reason you have brought him here, Naruto?" asked Shao Khan while Naruto smiled at him. "Yes, my emperor. I have reason to believe Kimimaro-san here has Tarkatan blood in his veins, and wish him to be trained by the very of Tarkatan demons under your command," answered Naruto, with Shao Khan looking at Kimimaro with a hint of interest. "Really? Prove it," commanded Shao Khan while leaning forward on his throne, and Kimimaro removed his robes he was wearing to reveal his shirtless form before revealing his bloodline to the emperor. "As you can see, Emperor Shao Khan, I have powers similar to that of the Tarkatans. But over the years, the bloodline of my people have changed it, so I can use the bones in any part of my body. I am strong, I am agile, I am fast, and I have the desire to unleash all my fury on my enemies when given the order," replied Kimimaro, while Shao Khan looked on with increased interest. "Your powers are indeed similar to a Tarkatan. However, I am not so convinced, and I am sure my Tarkatan General Baraka would agree," replied Shao Khan with Baraka, now entering the room while narrowing his eyes at Kimimaro. "The emperor is correct. Show me your strength against my fellow Tarkatan brothers, and only by winning against them will I even consider teaching you," declared Baraka, while Kimimaro looked at him with fire in his eyes. Bring on every single one of them. I will prove I am worthy. I am the last of my clan. I am also the strongest they have ever produced. I will win, challenged Kimimaro as he got into fighting stance, and soon several Tarkatan demons came out from behind Baraka with their blades drawn. Fight! Yelled Shao Khan, with the Tarkatans around Baraka, charging Kimimaro, and the Kaguya leaped into action with his own blades. In a span of 5 minutes, all the Tarkatan demons were on the ground dead, in pieces, and their blood was staining Kimimaro's body. His eyes were filled with fury, bloodlust, and the desire to unleash more upon any foe that stood in the Kaguya's way. As you can see, Forefather, Kimimaro is a very gifted man, and indeed has the spirit of a Tarkatan demon warrior in him, declared Naruto proudly, while Kimimaro turned and then kneeled before the Emperor, while still stained in Tarkatan blood. That he does. What do you think, Baraka? Is he worthy of learning from the strongest of my Tarkatan warriors? Asked Shao Khan, with Baraka eyeing Kimimaro with scrutiny. He has some potential, though whether this boy can truly fight like one of us remains to be seen. I will test him in the training grounds. If he survives, I will deem him worthy of calling him one of our blood. If he survives, answered Baraka with Kimimaro, now looking at him. I am worthy. I'll slay 100 if not 1,000 enemies you put in my way to prove it, declared Kimimaro with conviction in his voice. We shall see, boy, said Baraka with the challenge laid down between them. Baraka, take the boy with you to the Tarkatan training grounds. I am going to spend time with my legacy, commanded Shao Khan with Baraka bowing, and walked out of the throne room with Kimimaro following after giving a quick nod to Naruto. My apologies for not coming sooner, Forefather. I have been busy with things while I was in Earthrealm, said Naruto with Shao Khan smiling with pride at him. Carving out your own empire does that, my boy. I know from personal experience, said Shao Khan while letting out a small chuckle. It's actually one of the reasons I came here, Forefather. It involves your current situation between the Shokan and the Sensuers races, replied Naruto with Shao Khan looking at him with intrigue. What do you mean, Naruto? Asked Shao Khan curiously. As you know, Forefather, the Shokan have despised the Sensuers for some time now, and the truce between the two races is very shaky. If they do get into a war, they will expect you to choose a side, and their fighting will only weaken your empire in the long run, explained Naruto with Shao Khan nodding. Agreed, said Shao Khan while Naruto decided to press onward. When I was here last, the Shokan warrior Shiva had told me she felt Outworld was not big enough to support both races, and didn't want to cause unnecessary bloodshed that would weaken your position of power in Outworld. Up until now, I had yet to figure out a way to solve this problem and make all parties happy, continued Naruto, while Shao Khan raised an eyebrow behind his mask. Oh, what is the plan you wish to share with me? Questioned Shao Khan with Naruto hesitating slightly, which was understandable to the Emperor since the idea may or may not displease him, and the end result could be violent on his end for the most part. I wish to marry Shiva in a few years on Earthrealm's standardized time with the entire Shokan race, having a new place to live in the realm under my command, explained Naruto with Shao Khan, narrowing his eyes at him. And this won't weaken me, or cause further problems between the races. How exactly? Questioned Shao Khan, while the tone of his voice told Naruto to quickly explain, or they were going to fight each other. The Shokan wish to be free from centaurs and the constant friction happening between the two races. By marrying Shiva, her race is allowed to enter Earthrealm without the Elder Gods interfering should the entire race wish to leave Outworld for another realm. And the centaurs will be able to have the territory, in return for allowing the transition to happen. The Shokan will not see this as an exile from Outworld, but an honor in serving your descended legacy in Earthrealm, and even a chance to prove themselves in combat in the war I am waging there, explained Naruto with Shao Khan thinking it over in his head. It is true the Shokan have had a strained relationship with the centaurs long before now, since I tried to conquer Earthrealm so many years ago. In fact, it's almost become so bad that they have come close to war, and haven't simply through my command alone. However, even that won't last long, and I do not doubt a war will happen if something isn't done soon. Very well. You shall marry Shiva with my blessing as Emperor of Outworld and your forefather. This marriage will bring about a union will allow the Shao Khan to cross over into Earthrealm to live there under your rule, declared Shao Khan. With Naruto smiling, Shiva will be pleased to hear this. I know for a fact she has long since felt her race deserved to be recognized for their many years of loyal service, said Naruto with Shao Khan, smirking at him. Excellent. Come. We have to make this announcement official, and then we can grand feast in celebration of this future wedding, declared Shao Khan, as he walked with the boy through the palace, and Naruto could only smile while hoping Shiva did take this in a positive way. Capital of Water Country, several weeks later. The water. Daimyo snarled at the report he just received about the fall of mist, and how this new fire daimyo was taking the world by storm via conquest, after conquest. He first thought the upstart was some wannabe, who had just caught the previous daimyo of Fire Country at a weak moment. It did happen on occasion throughout the years, with a cage or daimyo getting sloppy before the proverbial blade came down on your head by your rivals. But this was different. Not only did this brat take control of Fire Country, he had the support of the people. His predecessors' sins were made known, and were given the sacred promise of such corruption ending. Not only that, but Rice Country had soon fallen, and now the rebels fighting Mist had won with their forces apparently swelling with forces from Fire Country. This was unacceptable. Double the guards. I don't want this upstart to get any ideas of attack. If he somehow convinces the rebels to side with him in return for his aid against Mist, they will do it very soon, and I want them to pay a heavy price for their attempt, commanded the water daimyo coldly to his samurai bodyguard, who bowed quickly, and then ran off to carry out the command. How could things have gotten so far out of control? The Mizukage was winning the war against the rebels. That much he knew, and was even planning to bring in some additional support with his samurai in a few days to further enforce the fact Mist's current policies were supported by this country's daimyo. Now the rebels have won, taken Mist, and this so-called fire daimyo had helped make it happen. This upstart wanted to take his country from him. The water daimyo. Some nerve. The brat was a nobody, using the people and their suffering to rally them to his cause and show support, while shifting the balance of power away from those worthy to rule. So what if the people suffered? They were the people beneath him and his throne that were meant to serve, no matter how cruel the ruler was to them. They were to accept it with a smile on their faces and never once be allowed to break away from their one true Lord and Master. Running their lives? That was the way of things, the way of rulers and leaders. Who was this idealistic fool of a warlord and his blasphemous belief that the people shouldn't suffer under their leader, regardless if they were guilty or not? An explosion from outside his home and alarms being raised filled his ears before the water daimyo rushed to a balcony to see the castle walls had been breached. He gasped when seeing his own samurai were turning on each other. They were serving the brat, his shinobi forces, the rebels, who were wearing mist headbands, and an army of humanoid-like beings with a total of 4 arms ripping their enemy in half. The last part shocked the water daimyo, as he saw these slightly scaled, and some fur-covered 4-armed warrior ripped through his samurai like they were nothing. Beside them was the leader of them all, that was Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, as he smashed his way through the water daimyo's samurai army inside the castle, and leaving none of his enemies alive. Deciding to flee in order to fight another day, the water daimyo ran from the balcony to his personal chambers, and went to the safe to retrieve his personal finances. Money was the thing that made the world spin, and he had plenty of it from tributes given to him by the late Mizukage after liquidating the funds from wiped-out clans. He would need such funds once he got to a neighboring city, rallied the people, funded a sizable army, and took back his capital from these freaks. "You are not going anywhere, coward," hissed a reptilian voice behind the water daimyo, and the man spun around with a dagger in hand while shaking slightly. "Who's there? Show yourself," demanded the water daimyo while seeing there was no one there. Or so he thought. If you insist. But first, replied the voice before an invisible force grabbed the weapon-holding hand, broke it to make the weapon fall out of the daimyo's grasp, and then the same invisible force kneed the ruler of Water Country in the gut with enough force to make the man puke. With blurry vision, the water daimyo looked up and saw his invisible attacker become visible to see who was responsible for his pain. His eyes widened in horror at seeing the reptilian-like creature standing in front of him, and would have screamed out in fear had the figure not punched the water daimyo hard in the temple to knock the man out cold. When the ruler of Water Country finally regained consciousness, he found himself being dragged by two of the four armed beings on either side of him, and was soon dropped roughly at the feet of his conqueror. The water daimyo sputtered as he got to his knees. Gravel and debris stained his face, while some of it filtered into his nose to cause a small coughing fit. Weakling, muttered one of the shokin behind the water daimyo, at the sight of this man acting like he had just tasted something horrible. Indeed. Clearly he's one of those pampered rulers. The kind that barely lift a finger or do any hard work because they were born into greatnesses, as they would say, added a strong female voice from a female shokin behind the water. Daimyo? All the more reason to remove him from power, Shiva, replied Naruto, while his future wife just kept on looking at the water daimyo in disgust, and the man they were talking about gave the Nemekes his best glare, which counted for nothing. You won't get away with this. The people throughout the elemental countries will build up their armies against you. They will not stand idly by while you go about conquering and destroying everything for your own personal gain, exclaimed the water daimyo, and saw Naruto laugh at him. You think I'm doing this for my own personal gain? Fool! I'm doing this for everybody. The people are sick and tired of so-called rulers and daimyos oppressing them. The people want to be ruled by someone that cares about them, someone who will hear their voice and their concerns without dismissing them from their sight. You think the samurai here in this castle that turned on those that fought us today were loyal simply because you are a daimyo? They have sons, daughters, wives, mothers, and family members suffering under your rule. They served you because they had nowhere else to go to protect them from an even harsher life, until I came along and promised them an end to their hardships. Some of them are even distant cousins of those with bloodlines from nearly wiped-out clans you approved of purging from your lands. All I ever asked from them was their loyalty for when the time came to fight against your loyal forces, and I will keep my promises. Unlike you, replied Naruto with the water daimyo, snarling at him. I am a daimyo. Whether I honor agreements or promises is my business. If I don't wish to honor it, then I can by right, and by the blood of my father and his father before him that gives me the right. The people of this country are made to serve me, exclaimed the water daimyo with Naruto scoffing. As if any of them want to willingly serve a coward like you. They are slaves in all but name, stated Naruto with the water daimyo, snarling. If it works, why bother changing it? Countered the water daimyo with Naruto scoffing. It only works when you have no next-door neighbor opposing. You live on a continent that gives them no real means of escape due to the severe restrictions and uprooting from your domain. Hence why the population here in Water Country is much higher than the others and allowed things to be so violent while making other countries hesitant to even think about invading, since they dare not risk a united Water Country being formed by their actions. Answered Naruto with the water daimyo, still glaring at him. Then why invade knowing your actions here today will do that? Questioned the water daimyo with Naruto smirking. Because I'm not invading Water Country for the purpose of enslaving the people. They are not trading one enslaver for another. Even now, my agents are spreading the word of your fall. My plans for this continent, and how the people will no longer suffer under the rule of a weak tyrant like you, who hides behind his samurai. They see the chance for a better life, and they are going to take it through me since their lives will be much better under my rule, answered Naruto with the water daimyo looking shocked. You can't win. With each loyal follower to your cause, there will always be one opposed to your rule. Match it. You will not succeed. The water Daimyo nearly yelled defiantly while Naruto merely let out a chuckle. True, there will always be someone against my rule, for a time anyway, but it will not be forever, and I plan to outlive all my enemies. Including you, answered Naruto with the water daimyo going pale in the face with fear. No, don't. Mercy, exclaimed the water daimyo with Naruto snarling in disgust at him. Should I show him mercy? This daimyo, who would support the bloodline purges, and hates those with bloodlines because the people with bloodlines are not considered to be normal humans in his eyes. A daimyo who approves of the genocide of those with clans, bloodlines, and seeks to wipe out anyone with a bloodline, or has distant family members with bloodlines. Questioned Naruto while looking around at the various mist, shinobi, leaf shinobi, fire country samurai, mist country samurai, and the Shokan warriors here with him. Kill him, cried out one rebel turned mist shinobi once more. Make him suffer like our families have done, cried out a mist samurai, who turned on the water daimyo. He's had a life of privilege while we break our backs and bones to get by on scraps of crap he leaves behind. Why should he get any mercy from us, said one person, and the others were calling for the water daimyo's head. Let's put this to a vote, all for crushing this man's skull with my wrath hammer, questioned Naruto with the weapon in hand. Aye, yelled the people around him. And against? Asked Naruto while looking at the shivering water. Daimyo now soiling himself. Nay, exclaimed the whimpering water daimyo. The ayes have it, decreed Naruto before raising his wrath hammer over his head, and in one single swing downward, he crushed the pleading daimyo with only a blood smear for a corpse remaining. How such a pathetic person became a ruler of this realm I will never understand. The king of Edenai put up a better fight against Shao Khan after the emperor won the right to the realm. At least he put up a fight, said Shiva while disliking how this now dead man had ruled over this section of the realm, and was a complete coward. Not all rulers are warriors, Shiva, at least here of all places. Don't worry, though. There are plenty of warriors left in this realm worth fighting and killing, replied Naruto with a smirk on his face, and Shiva was cracking her hands. Good. As your future wife, I would want nothing else when it comes to battle, declared Shiva with Naruto, letting out a chuckle since the female Shokan loved the proposal the Namikaze had suggested for her, and the Shokan race living in Earthrealm with a new status. I know, Shiva. I know. Reptile, replied Naruto before he turned to see the new female Mizukage that was Terumi Mei staring at him before she turned away with a blush on her face. Yes, my emperor, asked Reptile with his full attention being on his new master, after Naruto convinced Shao Khan to have the reptilian warrior become his agent here, in this realm. Head back into the late water, Daimyo's room with some Shokan, and look through the man's financial holdings. I want them all collected and brought to me to look at for liquidation to be redistributed back to the people of this land, commanded Naruto, as he knew the people were expecting him to keep his promise, and he would not be made a liar. Nobody called him a liar and went to bed happy. Probably because they were all dead. Konoha sometime later. Naruto sat in front of the Hokage that was his godmother, her eyes scanning the report he had made for her regarding things in Water Country, and how it had been annexed into his slowly growing empire. As promised, the people were given better lives after all the financial holdings the late Water Daimyo had were liquidated and redistributed back to ease their suffering. Their late ruler had been very greedy with taking what didn't belong to him, and it was even more than Naruto first suspected. It would actually explain how the pig of a man was able to fund the financially draining Mist Village when Yagura was Mizukage to hunt down those with bloodlines, and then the campaign against the rebels. Your actions are making Earth and Lightning Country very nervous. Their daimyos especially don't like the news of your latest conquest, Naruto. The annexing of Water Country has caused them to begin mobilizing their armies for possible war. Their shinobi are also on high alert, stated Tsunade with Naruto, nodding in response to her statement. Water Country was in need of a change. Mist was dying out, the The people were suffering on all sides, and the Mizukage himself was actually a puppet to another unseen foe that apparently has the Sharingan, answered Naruto before throwing a copy of Yagura's journal over to Tsunade. Uchiha Itachi? Questioned Tsunade, with Naruto shaking his head. No, someone older than Itachi. While the man did kill his clan, this manipulation of the Mizukage happened before he went rogue, answered Naruto before flipping the journal open to the date when this was first written. This journal was first dated 2 years before Itachi killed his clan, said Tsunade with Naruto nodding. Correct. Right now there is a powerful Uchiha, or someone with the Sharingan eyes acting like a powerful Uchiha out there, capable of manipulate things from the shadows, replied Naruto, with Tsunade sighing. Great, just what I don't need to hear. The civilian council was bitching to me just the other day about your decisions about Sasuke and Kakashi. I know with Danzo Homura and Koharu gone that they've lost their fangs, but they still bitch to me about everything. It's getting annoying, exclaimed Tsunade angrily. You could disband the civilian council on the grounds of them being incompetent and irrelevant in these times. I personally never saw a reason for such a council to exist in a shinobi village, or why they would be allowed to get involved in shinobi affairs, offered Naruto with Tsunade shaking her head no. I would love to do that, Naruto. Believe me, I would like to do that. But my grandfather knew that the civilians needed to feel like they were equals in a shinobi village, that they had a voice and were not second-class citizens in Konoha. He felt including the civilian council to Konoha's governing body would help them feel they were part of the shinobi village. Konoha's charter forbids the Hokage from removing the civilian council, even if the fire daimyo, meaning you order to it, and I have to put up with their complaints. Even with the new shinobi council in place to govern over them, they still won't stop being a pest, and using Konoha's laws to prevent the use of treason being charged against them, answered Tsunade with Naruto, scowling at her. And they have been causing problems ever since, like chattering hungry monkeys in a tree fighting over a banana. In this case, the banana is Uchiha Sasuke, and they don't like how their prize fruit is being treated, stated Naruto with Tsunade, letting out a snort, and was now laughing at his wording in regards to Sasuke. In a manner of speaking, replied Tsunade before her door opened, and in came Uchiha Sasuke acting like he owned the place with displeasure clearly showing. I demand to know why I have yet to be promoted to chunin, and why my Junin sensei has been demoted to chunin rank, exclaimed Sasuke, while glaring daggers at Tsunade, with the woman narrowing her eyes and Naruto doing the same. I was ordered to by Naruto. He's the new daimyo of Fire Country and therefore makes the rules regarding Konoha on rare occasions when he finds it necessary, explained Tsunade with Sasuke, looking at her and then at Naruto in disbelief. You are a daimyo? How is that possible? It's a lie. A worm in the ground is more worthy of the title, countered Sasuke with his Sharingan now active, and was rewarded by Naruto's hand covering Sasuke's face in near skull-crushing grip. Oh really, Sasuke? How little you know or realize when it comes to me. I am sick and tired of you walking around, acting like your life is one that holds a value that outweighs everyone else by a large margin. Konoha has built so much hype over you, and yet that is all they've gotten back in return for their years spoiling you and acting like you are some kind of savior. You are an embarrassment. Get out of my sight, declared Naruto before throwing him out of the room via the window. Sorry about that. The Uchiha's been at the hospital for some time healing physically from his injuries at the chunin exams until a few days ago, and was kept in the dark about your advancement in rank, while Inoichi has been trying to heal him mentally, replied Tsunade with Naruto scowling. I assume the key word here is trying and is most likely failing, questioned Naruto with Tsunade nodding. Yeah. Inoichi basically said that Uchiha failed any basic form of rehabilitation within the span of 5 minutes of being in his head, answered Tsunade with a sigh. If he doesn't shape up, put him down, ordered Naruto with Tsunade grimacing slightly. The people of Konoha won't like that. The Uchiha's followers will feel the need to revolt against you, stated Tsunade, with Naruto slamming his fist down on table in front of her and glaring at his godmother. To hell with what those Uchiha lovers think. All they do is worship a spoiled child and expect him to one day return the love he would never give them at any time in their lives. All they do is fawn over the Uchiha because he is supposed the last loyal Uchiha from his nearly destroyed clan of traitors. We both read the unofficial report regarding how the massacre was really a rebellion and what the Sandaime agreed to do for Itachi's continued service in the shadows against the Akatsuki. The old bastard was also secretly grooming Sasuke to be his trump card against me, in the event I became too powerful for Konoha to control. It's why he and Sasuke and I teamed up together for Genin Team 7 in the first place. They kill me, Sasuke gets the next level of his eyes, and Konoha can bring fear to its enemies by claiming they killed a Baiju with the might of a single Uchiha. Countered Naruto with the Tsunade, nodding, knowing that was the original plan the Sandaime had created with the previous Shinobi Council and the Civilian Council right before they had Itachi carry out their orders. Since you are the daimyo, it's your call, Naruto, and I'll set things in motion with those I can trust to carry out such an order. Also, I got a message from the new Mizukage about our villages being allies, and that she was happy to meet you in person. That, and she is also very pleased to know firsthand that of some of the rumors said about you in certain aspects are indeed very true, replied Tsunade with her eyebrow twitching, having read between the lines of the Mizukage's message. Not to mention the drool and bloodstains from the nosebleed that appeared around the mentioning of the hidden meaning of the red-haired woman's words. I make sure information about me is accurate, at least where it counts anyway among the ladies, said Naruto, while grinning and letting out a chuckle. I can't believe you're becoming a pervert, said Tsunade in defeat. Pervert? Hardly. I just have a very healthy libido. It's not my fault, it's a natural part of me, countered Naruto with Tsunade's eyebrow twitching once more. Healthy is an understatement. The Gaki already has Anko, Shizune, and the new one with the 4 arms from Outworld named Shiva. Not to mention the possible marriages from Hana, Hinata, Karen, and any other kunoichi that catches his fancy in the future. I know he's the last of 2 clans, but seriously, can't he keep it in his pants for more than an hour or 2, thought Tsunade with a sigh escaping her lips. How is Hinata doing as your apprentice? Asked Naruto with some seriousness in his voice now. Good. Her and Karen are really taking to my training. Hinata's bloodline allows her to see things some first-rate doctors might miss, and Karen's own sensory abilities can be used in a similar manner, answered Tsunade with Naruto smiling. That's good. They'll go far. Especially if they learn how to use that super strength of yours when in a fight. Hinata will benefit from that the most if used with her own unique version of the gentle fist taijutsu style, replied Naruto. How do you know she was developing a new version? Asked Tsunade, with Naruto just smirking at her. Because she told me, answered Naruto with Tsunade looking shocked the shy girl could even say 2 words, much less tell him about her secret training. When? Asked Tsunade curiously. When I was in Konoha last, and had just killed off the Hyuga elders scheming behind Hayashi-san's back to marry his daughter off to me on their terms. I was bathing in their private hot springs while my clothing was being cleaned when she unknowingly came into the hot springs, answered Naruto with Tsunade, narrowing her eyes at him. Naruto, if you seduced Hinata or took her innocence, warned Tsunade with Naruto shaking his head. Oh, ye of little faith in my restraint, Grandma. As I said, I was already there, and didn't expect anyone to unknowingly join me. When Hinata came in, she was wrapped up in a towel, and after closing it, did she see me? It was actually a good thing the hot springs there are soundproof because she let out the biggest scream ever and abruptly fainted, answered Naruto with Tsunade sighing with her sudden headache over the situation rising with this news. Please tell me she's still a virgin, asked Tsunade in a pleading tone. Of course. You seriously have no faith in me, do you? Countered Naruto with Tsunade, giving him a, are you serious? Look. You currently have 2 concubines right now, and I know you're screwing them both, so my answer is yes, replied Tsunade with Naruto sighing. Fist off, they are both adults physically, and thus have fully formed female adult bodies. Hinata is still young in the physical female form department, answered Naruto with Tsunade sighing in relief. I take it she recovered from her fainting, asked Tsunade to signal him to continue. Yeah, she was so nervous at first being around me. Her body was completely red with embarrassment, hiding behind one of the larger rocks to hide her form in the water. I was able to calm her down and explain my purpose for being at the Hyuga clan compound. She thanked me, of course, for my efforts in preventing the Hyuga elders from forcing the marriage on her with me. Though I could tell she wouldn't have minded if she did, and then told Hinata how Hayashi agreed that she could marry anyone she wished without any kind of interference from the clan, said Naruto with a smirk, and Tsunade returned. Poor girl must have been thrilled to hear that, considering she has had her eyes set on you, Naruto, replied Tsunade, with Naruto nodding. I know, but I still wanted her to have the option of someone else in the event what she feels for me is a crush. I don't want anyone think Hinata would marry me just for status, and I doubt she ever would for that reason since that's not her nature, stated Naruto with Tsunade, nodding. No, it's not in her nature. Most noble clans here in Konoha or in other shinobi villages would frown upon that line of thinking in marrying outside of clans that had nothing to do with status, mostly because they prefer to keep the bloodline close or to bring about political strength to the clan for future use. The Hyuga have been known to follow that line of thinking, and some say they made that path themselves during Konoha's founding, replied Tsunade with Naruto shrugging. Doesn't matter now. A deal is a deal. Now I must go. Things to do, women to please, and lands to conquer, stated Naruto with Tsunade, frowning at that one part about how he had women to please. Must you really be so perverted? Asked Tsunade with Naruto grinning at her. Must you drink and gamble so much? Naruto shot back with Tsunade grumbling under her breath. So, which country is next on your list of conquests? Asked Tsunade with Naruto, letting out a small hum in thought. Nothing for right now. I need to strengthen my stabilization of the regions I've taken, or else my enemies will try taking them from me. I have to strengthen Mist due to its lost numbers, and ensure all the territory in Rice Country is well defended from any possible attack from one of the major shinobi villages, like Kumo or Iwa, answered Naruto with Tsunade nodding. I got a message from Sabaku, Nogara, not that long ago. He's informed me that his shinobi council has declared him the new Kazekage, and wants to make an alliance with us officially while secretly wishing you to remove the Wind Daimyo from his seat of power. The man is apparently very hedonistic and intends to keep draining Suna dry of funds for his own personal gain while outsourcing work to us despite my messages to him to respectfully stop doing that, Tsunade informed Naruto with the Namikaze, letting out a sigh now. Taking the Wind Daimyo down won't be a problem. From what Orochimaru's memories have informed of him, the two met on several occasions, and your former teammate fed the man honey-sweet words that encouraged such behavior. From my own impressions of the Wind Daimyo from the memories, he's a greedy slob who relies on those under his paid service working for him to get things done, and they have no real loyalty to him in the slightest. They only stay supposedly loyal to him due to the pay they receive, and he's somehow able to convince them that what he pays all of them is more than enough, when in fact it's very meager, replied Naruto, with Tsunade raising an eyebrow at that. How do you plan to take Wind Country? Using Suna like you did sound shinobi in Rice Country, asked Tsunade with Naruto shaking his head. No. The Wind Daimyo may be a gluttonous pig, but his mind is sharp enough to know that any Suna shinobi as of right now cannot be trusted to be near the capital. Earth and Lightning Country are already preparing for a potential war with me, while Wind has been keeping quiet due to what happened with Suna attacking Konoha, answered Naruto with Tsunade, frowning at him. So they don't make waves and let you focus on other matters while hoping you will stay away long enough to plan some kind of defense, replied Tsunade with Naruto nodding. Yes. The Wind Daimyo is mostly a coward just like those in water, rice, and my own predecessor in Fire Country. He's hoping that his fellow daimyo will defeat me in battle, and then be too weak to turn on him when the war is over, said Naruto, since it was clear from his memories of those that met the Wind Daimyo that the man was not respected by those within his own lands. I'll have Jiraiya keep an eye on him with his spy network for the time being. See if a good window of opportunity is available to strike in the future, replied Tsunade with Naruto, looking at her with a raised eyebrow. Doesn't my conquest of the world bother you? Anyone else would be extremely wary of their godson marching on the path of war and killing all that stand in his way, stated Naruto with Tsunade, leaning back in her chair and letting out a sigh. Under normal circumstance, yes, I would be bothered, but this is not normal. While I dislike the idea of you waging war with everyone, I also can't argue that the time for a change is needed. And the use of force is sometimes needed to make it happen. I don't like it, but you aren't going on a major killing spree while filled with rage. And practically all of the people in the lands you conquer have benefited from the changes. I would only have a problem with what you were doing if it was genocidal or you were being a tyrant to those you now rule over, Tsunade answered honestly with Naruto smirking at her. I learned a lot from my forefather when in Outworld. He's not one to rule his domain as kindly as I do. This world needs to be ruled differently. Shao Khan rules by force, might, and power that has nearly brought the elder gods to their knees at one point. I have no problem ruling in such a way, but not in the tyrannical manner he does in Outworld. The people here in Earthrealm are already oppressed, and any further oppression of the people would simply spark an attempt at a revolution. One that would ultimately fail due to so many used to the way things are, no leadership and no trained army to combat the forces of the oppressors, stated Naruto with Tsunade nodding. And further strengthening the oppressing power of the daimyos. No doubt they would have employed their respected shinobi villages to locate an apparent rebels and simply put them down, replied Tsunade, since that happened in the past on a few occasions when the people felt they were being oppressed by their daimyo. This world is festering in corruption, Tsunade. You've seen it on your travels. I've seen it through Orochimaru's memories. And I know the Sandaime knows about it because he was part of it. I know you have some dislike to my actions, Tsunade. You've discovered your godson is killing, conquering, and taking this world by storm at the age of 12 years old, even though my body is that of an older teen, stated Naruto, and Tsunade reluctantly nodded. I do on all counts, but I trust you, Naruto. I can see you want to change the world for the better. That's why Jiraiya and I are helping you, answered Tsunade with Naruto smirking at her. You won't be disappointed, Tsunade, replied Naruto before he left her office without another word. Outside of the Hokage's tower. You must think you're pretty smart making me a chunin again, don't you, Naruto? In fact, I bet you find it funny to see me demoted, accused Kakashi from his position of leaning on the wall of the tower while looking at Naruto with his one normal eye. Perhaps seeing you in chunin vest instead of a junin is actually funny. I'm a daimyo, and you're a low-level pawn in the game of life. Seems fitting, really, considering how you cast me aside for foolish petty reasons, countered Naruto with Kakashi's eye narrowing at him. You only got as far as you did because of QB. Without him, you were nothing, and will always be nothing. Your current title as Fire Daimyo means nothing to me, Kakashi shot back with Naruto looking at him with his crimson eyes. Perhaps I did get as far as I have because of Kurama until our merging. But who was at fault when it came to that? Me! I had no one growing up. No parents, no loving guardians, or none of the adults were willing to raise me. All I got were beatings, stabbings, and betrayals from these pathetic people in this village. You didn't even bother trying to train me at all. Hell, Sakura was the fangirl of Team 7, and you favored her over me after the damn bell test. We both know she was meant to be tied up after it was over. You didn't because her mother is on the civilian council, and she would have bitched to the others before bitching to the Hokage with the old bastard bitching at you. As for the training I should have received, I had little to nothing in terms of an education when at the academy, and little to nothing in terms of shinobi training from you. Think about it, Kakashi. If I had the same training, love, and support Sasuke was getting from the people growing up, do you honestly believe it would be a waste of time in training me for the chunin exams like you did from the start? Countered Naruto with Kakashi, narrowing his eye further. Are you saying it's my fault? The Sandan fault? Konoha's fault? Questioned Kakashi with Naruto letting out a chuckle. Yes, on all counts. The fact you can't see it means you're more narrow-minded than I first thought. Using all the muscles except the one that counts. How pathetic, replied Naruto before moving quickly to dodge the sudden strike made by Kakashi, and countered with an uppercut to the man's jaw. That felt like one of Tsunade's punches, thought Kakashi with his vision now becoming blurry, and saw 3 Narutos standing in front of him. Try that again or any attack like it in the future attack, and you'll be joining my father on the other side, stated Naruto coldly before walking away. You're not worthy of being Sensei's son, called out Kakashi while Naruto ignored him. If that were the case, then you are not worthy of being my father's student. Naruto shot back and smirked when he heard Kakashi curse him. Akatsuki HQ. This sudden expansion made by the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is unprecedented, stated Pain while looking at the other members of the Akatsuki in the room, via projections. Water Country has been absorbed into Fire Country. As predicted by his actions in the aftermath of it all, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has gained the support of the people there, and Mist Village's newest Mizuka. She has apparently taken quite a liking to him in more ways than one and has pledged the entire village to backing him in the future, once it's up to speed, stated Sasori with Pain, not liking this, and he could tell Tobai didn't either from his position, deep in the shadows. This is unfortunate. I had hoped the rebels would lose or take more casualties to slow down their progress of recovering. With the water daimyo dead, any attempt to stop their plans to recover have been removed, and I suspect they will soon regain their lost strength in a few short years, replied Pain with the others nodding. We need to get the other Jinchuriki in fast, exclaimed Kisame impatiently. Calm yourself, Kisame. As it stands, we can't make a move against the Jinchuriki that we know the location of, and need time to make plans to capture those we don't, said Itachi, and Kisame grumbled. Itachi is right, Kisame. As it stands, we are unable to grab Shikaku from Suna, or even the Kyuubi from Fire Country in general. Rumor has it, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki has gained allies in the form of a new race of beings of incredible strength, speed, and agility. They call themselves the Shokan, and they are extremely loyal to him, Conan added to the conversation. There is also the rumor of a reptilian creature lurking in the shadows behind the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and guarding him at all times, said Itachi with the others looking at him now. One of Orochimaru's experiments. A clone of him, perhaps? Questioned Sasori with Itachi shaking his head. No, Orochimaru never once tried to clone himself. I think he feared his own ruthless nature and the risk of his own clone turning him. This reptilian creature is not connected to Orochimaru in any shape or form, answered Itachi, with this making the group a bit nervous. How should we handle this? Asked Sasori with everyone looking at Pain. We will wait. It will take roughly 3 years to track down the remaining Jinchuriki and strengthen our numbers to succeed in our overall mission, explained Pain, and saw Toby in the shadows nod slightly. What if the Kyuubi Jinchuriki recruits them to his cause? A united front of Jinchuriki will not be easily defeated under his command, asked Sasori with Pain staying silent for a moment. Which is why we will get to them first. I have a few potential recruits lined up to join our cause. One of them knows where the Seven Tails is located, and we need him to get to Taki to find her, answered Pain. So, the Jinchuriki in Taki is female, stated Kisame, since that was new to him. Yes. She is not well liked by the village, but they keep her around to protect them from any possible invasion. Or enemy shinobi who unknowingly get too close to the village, answered Itachi. Once we have our recruits, I'm sending 2 of them after the Seven Tails, once we have acquired her identity. She won't be missed by Taki, so any actions by them will be slim, if at all, by the people in the village, stated Pain. And the others nodded in understanding, since villages tended to despise their Jinchuriki, even though they make such people into weapons. Hypocritical bastards, but still useful nonetheless, ironically enough. Fire Country Palace. Naruto awoke to the warmth of his lovers sleeping on him. Anko, Shizune, and even Shiva was there, with the latter of the three being the pillow of the group, since she was currently the tallest of the three women. Though that wouldn't last long after 3 years, when Naruto expected his body to really shoot up in terms of height, and even one day be just as tall as Shao Khan himself. At the moment, Naruto's awakened mind was thinking about what to do next in terms of his conquest of the world, and where to strike next. On one hand, he could go for a few smaller countries before striking out against the major country like Earth, or even Lightning Country. Both were amassing their forces to the borders and gearing up for a potential invasion by his forces that they believed would be attacked soon. As if he would be so reckless. A knock at the door alerted him that someone was there. A moment later, a samurai came in, his head kept down to not look at the 3 naked women currently sleeping around his daimyo, and simply approached the bed with a message scroll in hand. This was a quickly established thing for the samurai under Naruto's command, since he didn't want any of his subordinates to get any lustful thoughts regarding any of his lovers or future wives that lay with him. Maybe he was being selfish, but Naruto disliked the idea of any male ogling his women, and imagining themselves in his place. Taking the message scroll from the humble samurai, Naruto waited until the man had left the room before opening it, and raised an eyebrow at its contents. "Another marriage contract?" asked Shiva in a slightly annoyed and still tired tone. "Sadly, yes, my dear Shiva-chan, but not from some snooty, power-hungry noble wishing for political influence and future offspring to be the only thing gained from our union. This is from the Inuzuka clan back in the Leaf. The clan head wishes for her eldest to be married to me, since she feels there is no other alpha male in the village, if not all of the elemental countries worthy of her daughter," answered Naruto while finding 2 of Shiva's 4 hands wrap around his waist. "I can't argue with that logic," replied Shiva while Naruto smirked from his position with his head resting nicely on her bosom. "Does it bother you at all with how many lovers I have, Shiva? I know the Shokin can be very territorial about things," stated Naruto, with concern for her how she felt about this situation. "I was upset at first when hearing you had to other lovers, and would take more because of the situation with your clans needing to be revived. However, I have long since come to terms with it, and only ask the women you choose are strong. Only the strongest will suffice in my eyes," stated Shiva, while Naruto smirked. "Agreed. Did you see Milena's eyes when she saw Kimimaro being trained by Baraka?" "I think she's smitten," replied Naruto while sensing Shiva smirking. "I saw Baraka put your albino warrior through quite the bloody combat test in his own Tarkatan battle arena. Milena was practically drooling at the sight of him covered in so much blood," answered Shiva, since she saw Milena during the celebration dinner. "And the pink-wearing woman was staring intently at Kimimaro. You could tell her mouth wasn't the only thing drooling from the look of lust in her eyes. Sadly, my warrior is not what you would call up to speed in the ways of women. I will need to talk to him about that and about Milena so he understands certain things," stated Naruto, while Shieva let out a small chuckle. "Shao Khan may have approved of us, but he may find himself reluctant to embrace the idea of Kimimaro being Milena's consort," said Shiva while feeling Shizune and Anko move a bit, while snuggling closer to Naruto. "Kimimaro is a strong warrior. I trust him completely. Whoever has his loyalty doesn't have to worry about him betraying them. But rather they should fear the idea of betraying him, and my Kaguya clan warrior surviving the betrayal to unleash his revenge," stated Naruto with Shiva nodding slightly in understanding. The Tarkatans were the same way. They give their loyalty to the strongest and expect to be given the same loyalty in return for their service. Betray that trust and loyalty, you were as good as dead. That should make him worthy, but the Emperor of Outworld is not easily impressed with such things. Your Kaguya clan warrior will have to run a gauntlet to prove his worth in courting Mylena, much less be worthy of marriage, said Shiva, and reminding Naruto of the simple fact that Shao Khan had high standards for any male wishing to become interested in his daughter. Even more. So when it was the other way around, though, Mylena usually ate the men that caught her interest and proved to be a disappointment. I don't think he'd have it any other way if the idea of courting Mylena interests him. As I said earlier, Shiva, I need to talk to him about it and see if he's interested in Mylena at all, answered Naruto, since he had no idea if Kimimaro was even interested in women that way, much less those of Tarkatan blood. What about that Hyuga girl? Does she interest you? Asked Shiva, since she had been brought up to speed on all potential future wives seeking to be part of Naruto's family. Hinata? She's got potential. She is shy given what happened years ago, and has a gentle nature given her love for life. Under my godmother, I foresee Hinata-chan will go far in life, and being an incredible medic nin. Would it be so wrong to have a woman in my family with the power to heal Shiva-chan? What if you get injured in the years to come and are in need of medical attention? Who would you trust in saving one of your limbs or your life? Answered Naruto with Shiva sighed. You have a point. But I do expect her to fight, should a time come for her to attack, relented Shiva with Naruto smirking. Make no mistake. Shiva-chan, the Hyuga girl has a fire in her, and I have set things in motion to make Hinata-chan reach her true potential, stated Naruto, while Shiva was not as convinced as him. I'll only believe that when I see it, stated Shiva calmly. You will see it, Shiva-chan. I promise you, answered Naruto before letting out a sigh. So much to do, and so little time. Oh, make Mylena and Kimimaro. Mylena was nervous. She was never nervous. Why? Because she was walking through the living forest with this albino warrior she had seen stained in blood of Tarkatans in his training area, and he was acting so calmly. Most men would be nervous, frightened, and outright terrified of her, give the reputation she had from years of being such a hungry female warrior. But this one, he was calm, serious. He was alert at all times, and Mylena saw Kimimaro was not the usual male she had encountered in the past. He was a warrior that feared little, embraced battle, and loved to fight his enemies with all of his being while stained in their blood. So, how are things? Asked Mylena with Kimimaro looking at her. They are well. I have trained hard and learned much under Baraka-sensei. I was even able to show him some abilities he can use when fighting different enemies. You do not possess such abilities like us from what I understand, answered Kimimaro seriously, but without malice in his voice. Yes. My body is similar to that of my twin sister, and the only difference would be my mouth, replied Mylena, while she looked away and hoped her mouth behind her pink veil didn't scare him away. May I see? I admit I am a bit curious to your facial appearance, answered Kimimaro, while having learned much under Naruto-sama in terms of enticing the ladies. Apparently speaking honestly or with passion in your voice made them want you more. You may not like what you see, cautioned Mylena, while her eyes showed a hint of worry. I have seen many different people, Mylena, in this realm and my own. I do not believe your face will frighten me, stated Kimimaro calmly with conviction that surprised the female warrior. Well, if you believe that, replied Mylena before removing her veil and show him her face in all its glory. There is nothing wrong with your face. It has its own unique beauty to it, Mylena, said Kimimaro with Mylena blushing at his words. Really? You're not afraid I might try to get close and bite you? Questioned Mylena while moving closer to him with a bit of sway in her body like a hungry predator. No, answered Kimimaro in confusion, since the concept of such a thing was lost to him, and he missed the gleam in Mylena's eyes. I like a man who is fearless in the face of danger, replied Mylena while licking her lips, and without further delay had landed a kiss on Kimimaro's lips. She's kissing me. What do I do? Naruto-sama said that if Mylena were to ever kiss me like this, then I should kiss back with passion behind it, and show I'm interested by using my tongue. thought Kimimaro before taking his master's advice regarding women, and did what he'd been told by Naruto. Melina was ecstatic at finding her male interest was kissing back, his tongue dancing around her own, and was loving every second of it. She slid her hands up his chiseled lean body before grabbing Kimimaro by his shirtless shoulders, and pulled him down to the ground with her in a take-down maneuver that surprised the albino. He moved on instinct to not be taken without a fight, much to Melina's enjoyment, and the two were rolling around with Kimimaro on top before they rolled once more, until Melina was hovering over him. "You are the one, at last. Years of trying to find the perfect male worthy of me, and I finally have him," declared Melina to a shocked Kimimaro before she kissed him again in the same passionate manner with her hands moving south to his pant. "Remember, Kimimaro, if Melina has that crazy lust-filled look in her eyes, and you will know when you see it. Don't resist. Follow your instincts. They will help you when the time comes for intimacy." Kimimaro didn't know what Naruto meant at the time, but trusted his master enough to not question it, and now understood what the future Emperor of Earthrealm was talking about. Even now, his instincts were starting to stir. The pheromones Melina was putting out had been inhaled for some time now, and had resisted his body's demands to respond accordingly through sheer force of willpower alone. But now, his mind was hazy with lust. His hands acted on their own, ripping what clothing Melina had on off her body, and the sound of his own clothing was being ripped to pieces. All he could focus on was the body on top of him. The female hands that were slightly clawed were tearing into his torso, and felt Melina's mouth slightly biting painfully during the kissing. But the pain, the passion, and his own instincts to wanting more had blocked out any form of rational thought to stop. Kimimaro didn't want to stop. He wanted more. Emperor's throne room hours later. "Where is Melina? Where is my daughter?" demanded Shao Khan while Baraka seemed nervous in the presence of the Emperor. "I believe she went out for a walk through the living forest, my Emperor," answered Baraka with Shao Khan's eyes narrowing. "With whom?" questioned Shao Khan with Baraka shifting nervously again. "With Kimimaro?" answered Baraka while seeing Shao Khan shaking with rage. "What?" yelled Shao Khan for possibly all of Outworld to hear. "And that's my cue to prepare a portal home," thought Naruto from the shadows. "With Melina and Kimimaro at the moment." "That was incredible, Kimimaro. So much passion. You are a very energetic man when given the right motivation," said a naked Melina, in an appraising way while running her clawed finger over his torso to admire the various scars he was sporting from past battles. "I feel I must confess to you, Melina. I have never done anything like this before today," replied Kimimaro with Melina's eyes widening in surprise before she smiled further and cooed while snuggling her head closer to his neck. "A virgin? I would have never guessed. We were going at it so wildly I thought I was being taken by an experienced lover," said Melina with a hint of joy in her voice at being his first, and the fact it was good for her meant any future experience he gained in pleasure. The female body would come only from her female body. "I have had no experience beyond what we just went through. I have never felt anything so incredible in all my life. I want more. More from you," replied Kimimaro passionately with a hint of possessiveness, while still being serious at the same time. "That could be arranged," stated Melina gleefully. "What?" yelled Shao Khan, and the two lovers froze at hearing his voice coming from the palace. "I think your father suspects or knows about our recent activities," stated Kimimaro, with Melina frowning slightly before smiling again. "Then perhaps we should make your last moments in Outworld pleasurable before my father kills you," replied Melina before straddling his waist and moaning when she felt him stirring beneath her. "I must admit, this is one fatality I wouldn't mind dying from," thought Kimimaro, as he had heard from his master about such finishing moves done during Mortal Kombat tournaments ages ago. Chapter 8. Conqueror Spring. The bitter cold of Snow Country would have hurt a weaker man than Naruto, who was dressed in his usual warlord attire, but with the exception of some carefully placed animal furs covering his usually exposed torso, and stared at the landscape in front of him. His eventual campaign against Wind Country and absorbing it into his own empire had been put on hold in the months that followed his taking of Water Country. During that time, one princess, Kazehana Koyuki, who was under the hidden disguise of the famous actress Fujikaze Yuki and played in the Princess Gale movies he loved watching so much, was seeking protection during the shooting of her latest movie. Rather than go to the Hawkage, which was usually the thing to do when it came to assigning these missions, Koyuki's manager had gone to Naruto himself at his palace and begged for an audience with the warlord with Koyuki in tow. Naruto was happy to meet the woman in person, which was why he agreed to meet them. But that feeling of happiness soon went south real fast when Koyuki looked at him with disinterest. The feeling of joy went bad even before that, when one of his samurai in the room behind him whispered that Koyuki had apparently refused give some of the young children autographs when heading to the palace. Azama Sendayu, the manager of the Secret Princess and famous actress, explained why they needed his protection against Koyuki's power-hungry Uncle Kazehana Dodo. The man killed his brother for the hidden treasure that was lying deep within the snow of the country and took the throne in order to find it to use for the destructive power it might hold. As for Koyuki herself, the woman clearly didn't want to go back to her home country, which would explain why Naruto saw the woman looking for the closest exit to the palace to run away. Naruto had asked them to leave him for a moment to think over the matter before asking Jiraiya for his opinion on the matter, since the old pervert was in the area. Jiraiya had provided info about Koyuki and the current state of Snow Country, with Dodo bleeding the country dry of resources along with its people for this lost treasure. If the cold and seemingly everlasting winter didn't kill the people living within Snow Country, Dodo's cruelty would. When Naruto called for the two guests to come back into the room for his decision on the matter, only Sendayu came in. And he explained how Koyuki had left without a word in hopes of getting away from them. An insult to Naruto and her manager if there ever was one. That being said, Naruto entrusted Reptile to track the woman down, but do nothing once found, and simply relay where she was so he could confront the woman himself. Sure enough, Reptile had tracked the woman down to a local bar at the fire capital, and it was clear the woman didn't think things through since it was the closest one to the palace in the city itself. In fact, it was almost insulting to even employ Reptile for such a simple tracking mission to find the princess, and Naruto made his displeasure known when he confronted Koyuki while she tried to drown her sorrows away in a drink. She sobered up when he smashed his fist on the bar table and told Koyuki that he would take her to Snow Country with the intention of removing Dodo from the throne. Koyuki had mocked him, stating it was impossible, and that her uncle was too strong with the snow shinobi of her country protecting him. Not to mention the chakra armor that was highly advanced along with the other wonders locked away, buried beneath the snow, and what many countries have long wished to possess. Naruto's response was to grab Koyuki by her shirt, pull her close, and looking at her with cold, burning red eyes before telling the princess to stop being so melodramatic. He knew losing a father was horrifying for the woman when she was a child, but at least she was loved during those years while he was not, and had to fight for what he wanted. For this woman to mope and fall to pieces at the idea of returning home to claim her royal birthright so that she might help the people suffering there was inexcusable. It was that of a coward. Naruto could see into her soul. One of the perks his forefather had shown him so that he could read those around him and how to combat them should they prove to be annoying. When it came to Koyuki, she had the potential to rise up and be a strong, noble ruler of her people. A woman worthy of her station as a daimyo with the right motivation and desire to jumpstart Koyuki on the path to being a strong leader. Granted, her country was on the list of places he planned to take over time, but with the way things were now, this was the perfect excuse to make his move on it, and without any political fallout from the countries if Koyuki agreed to abdicate the throne of Snow Country. By handing it over to him, Naruto could improve the lives of the people there, strengthening his growing empire with ease, and carefully spreading the technological wonders where they could provide the most good. Hence why Naruto was in Snow Country with the assigned protection detail of Mitogai, his genin team Shikamaru, and Captain Neko along with her Ambu squad. The cold weather was cruel to the Shao Khan, so Naruto had them stay behind with Shiva being in charge of things with Anko and Shizune, assisting her in matters until his return. While Sendayu felt this large force of Konoha shinobi was overkill, Naruto had assured him it would be better to have this many shinobi to defend Koyuki from harm, than have no shinobi at all, when Dodo eventually learns of his niece's return to Snow Country. "Do you think Dodo knows of our arrival, Naruto-sama?" asked Neji, with Naruto nodding his head. "The ship's captain sold us out before we even made it onto his ship. When this is over, remind me to break him in half and throw his remains into the sea," answered Naruto, with Neji nodding. Since the fight, a rather one-sided one, at the chunin exams with the Hyuga branch family member getting a beating of a lifetime, Neji had learned the truth about Naruto's life, and how he was setting things in motion to unite the Hyuga clan as a whole. It was not going to be easy, even with Naruto's actions in removing the Hyuga clan elders, due to those still loyal to the ancient and traditional ways of the clan. It was known through the entire clan what Naruto did. His actions couldn't be kept secret for long, considering all the blood that stained his clothing and pieces of armor plating in the aftermath. Most were happy the Hyuga elders had perished, as they were among the oldest members of the clan itself, children when the first Hokage was in office, and their grandparents' beliefs on the Hyuga clan already drilled into their skulls without any question for the need of the cage bird seal. Now this generation had a chance to break free, one that may not happen for several others if the attempt made now failed, and Neji doubted he would live to see it if that was the end result. "We haven't been spotted so far, but that could be because of the storm working against our still unseen enemies, or perhaps they aren't in position yet to strike," added Neji, since he had scanned the area with the Baikugan and didn't see anyone yet. "It's the latter. I had the captain change landing zones for us, and where he would have to move the ship to do it at the last minute. They know we're here in Snow Country, but not where we are in Snow Country, and will come looking for us soon," said Naruto, knowing this will give them time to prepare for the battle that was to come. Now, if only the film crew for Koyuki's newest movie weren't here to tag along to shoot everything in detail. They had come along to shoot on location scenes for the movie still in production, and felt this event would be perfect for the next movie, with the script being slightly changed so they could put everything they got on film into it. "So what is the plan?" asked Tenten, with Naruto thinking things over his head for a moment. "Captain Nico and her Ambu will have to stay with the film crew. Guy along with Lee, Neji, and yourself will come with me while escorting Koyuki to the capital. Shikamaru had the map of our current location and is looking it over with Sandayu right now to provide us the quickest path there," answered Naruto, before the sound of chuckling was heard around them. "You won't be escorting anyone to the capital while we live Leaf Shinobi," replied a voice in the distance that was male. "We have company," mumbled Tenten, with weapons drawn. "I see 3 of them. They are wearing the legendary chakra armor this country is known for developing," said Neji, with Naruto frowning. "Be mindful of your environment here. They know this country better than we do. They also have an edge with the chakra armor. If you find a weakness to the armor, exploit it," commanded Naruto, with the Leaf Shinobi around him nodding. With words finished being spoken, the group charged forward against the 3 snow shinobi, smiling in the belief this force coming after them would fall to the power of the chakra armor they wore, and their skills as snow shinobi. However, the armor itself had a fatal flaw to it, as Fuyukuma Mazor first learned when fighting Gei, and Lee in battle with the 2 Leaf Shinobi, fighting with taijutsu only. Since neither Green Beast used chakra or genjutsu, the armor's strengths in that field were nullified, and easily damaged when hit by the power of their taijutsu style. Granted, Fuyukuma Mizora wasn't a pushover, as he launched his own taijutsu at the 2 Leaf Shinobi, using the cables in the metal arm of the armor to knock Lee back and take on Mitoge himself. However, the tag team combination of teacher and student won out against him with too many hits, causing damage to the chakra armor. When Lee and Gai hit the snow shinobi at the same time with their fists in mirrored form, they had damaged the internal system that made up the armor's ability to function and caused it to explode, killing the man wearing it. As for the now dead snow shinobi's comrades, they were fighting their own battles with Kakyoku Fubuki, fighting Neji, and Ten while Roga Nadir was fighting Naruto. Hayatan, Hari Moko, exclaimed Nadere, as he sent a massive tiger in the form of ice at Naruto, who narrowed his eyes at the man for using a power to control, and knew this man was not like Haku in terms of having his dead friend's bloodline. You dare use that power? You dare use it. Pervert it to your whims when it is not of your bloodline. You are no true user of the Hyotan like Haku, and to even use it here in front of me is grounds for death, exclaimed Naruto as he formed a Rasengan in his hand and destroyed the ice tiger with it. I don't know who this Haku person is, but I do know that Dodo wants his niece alive, and possibly you too, since your station gives him a chance to expand his empire by properly absorbing yours, countered Nadir with a grin on his face, while hiding the fear he was feeling from the sight of Naruto destroying his jutsu with the Rasengan. The only way Dodo is going to get his hands on Koyuki and my empire is over my dead body, stated Naruto angrily with Nadir smirking arrogantly at him. Good. Such an offer makes my job that much easier, replied Nadir before making hand signs, and soon formed a massive whale made up of ice aimed right at the warlord. Fortunately, the massive size made it massively slow, and Naruto had the needed speed to get away from the attack with ease. Unfortunately, the attack was more of a distraction than anything, and Nadir knew if the jutsu somehow hurt Naruto, it would be an added bonus on his end. The distraction, however, was the key thing for Nadir, as he moved quickly and stole Princess Koyuki out from everyone's nose due to the massive whale, causing the guard detail around the film crew to scatter. Kakyoku Fubuki, seeing her comrade succeed in his mission, tried to flee from the battlefield, but Tenten had used her ninja wire to catch her target along the leg, and pulled the snow Kunoichi back before Neji disabled her with his gentle fist. We failed in our mission to protect the princess, wailed Lee before Tenten smashed her tonfa in her hand on the back of his head. We can still catch up with them if we hurry, commented Neji with his eyes locked onto Nadir while Naruto nodded in agreement. Keep our guest here detained. Gay Lee! You are with me since you are the fastest of the group here. Shikamaru, figure out a course with the rest of the group on how to get to the capital from here, ordered Naruto, as he along with Gay and Lee took off after Nadir to reclaim Koyuki. Troublesome warlord, mumbled Shikamaru before being hit on the head by Ten. What did you just say? Demanded Tenten, with fire in her eyes at hearing someone call Naruto troublesome. I said let's get back to work, answered Shikamaru before doing just that with the map, while Sandayu mumbled something along the lines of scary women, though it was unclear due to the increasing wind. Sure you did, replied Tenten with Neji forcing a smirk to not appear on his face. If I didn't know any better, I would think Tenten has a bit of crush on Naruto, thought Neji before looking at Tenten, and seeing his comrade watching the snow Kunoichi for a prisoner with watchful eyes. Nah, he was imagining things. With Nadir and Koyuki. You should feel honored, princess. Soon you will be reunited with your uncle, and the power to rule Snow Country with an uncontested iron fist will be his to command, said Nadir, as he had her held under his arm while she squirmed in his grip, and glaring at him for it. My uncle won't find what he's looking for. I know he's spent all these years trying to find the lost treasure, and oppressing the people further. Failing in both tasks, I might add, stated Koyuki with Nadir growling. Shut your mouth! Dodo-sama is not to be underestimated. Something that your would-be warlord and his band of leaf shinobi for bodyguards will soon find out in the process, remarked Nadir with a smirk. You underestimate the fire daimyo and his group. One of your comrades is dead and the other is captured. How long do you think it will be before joining one of them in that area? Countered Koyuki with Nadir sneering at her. You're lucky Dodo-sama wants you brought to him unharmed, or I would give a harsh lesson to your money-maker of a face in disrespecting me," replied Nadare with Koyuki glaring at. "Then hit me. It will just show everyone how little a man you are in having to beat a woman to make her do something against her will," countered Koyuki before she was violently thrown into the snow. "Oh, I'm going to do more than beat you. I've always wanted to fuck a princess. Now I get the chance," stated Nadare with Koyuki, looking at him with disgust and horror. "Such an action on your part only proves just how inferior and stupid you really are in terms of being a man," exclaimed Koyuki with Nadare laughing at her. "You'll be singing a different tune when I make you my bitch. If anything, you should be grateful to me. My actions here will possibly let you live longer if you get pregnant and Dodo can mold the child into his heir to his throne," stated Nadare with a smirk on his face, but it ended when he felt a sharp pain hit him from behind, and Koyuki gasped in shock at seeing a spear made of energy pierce the man through his chest. "Not if I have anything to say about it," stated Naruto with his wrath hammer at the ready, while his energy-based weapon was absorbed by the chakra armor. "Damn brat, you think your attack will stop me? This armor was designed for attacks like yours, and while it was a bit painful, I'm still very much alive," replied Nadare in a very arrogant tone. "Double dynamic entry!" exclaimed Gay and Lee, at the same time before they smashed their feet right into Nadare's face, with enough force to send them flying into a nearby cliff wall. "My attack was meant to slow you down so I could kill you with this," explained Naruto with his wrath hammer being seen by Nadare's eyes, and that he was ready to unleash it on the snow shinobi. "No. Wait, I can help you. I know what Dodo is after besides his niece. She's wearing a jewel around her neck that is the key to the machine," exclaimed Nadare with Naruto pausing his desire to smash the man into a bloody paste on the pure white snow around them. "He actually found the machine my father spoke to me about when I was a child," asked Koyuki while clutching the jeweled necklace her father gave to her years ago. "Yes, just a few months ago. It's still mostly covered in snow, but Dodo believes he just needs to power it on and let the machine's own generated heat take care of it," explained Nadare with Naruto smirking. "Unless the melted snow gets into the system and causes it to malfunction," remarked Naruto with a cruel chuckle while Nadare glared. "Dodo-sama isn't stupid, you brat. He's a lot stronger than you could imagine," countered Nadare while still stomach first on the ground, due to his injuries, and Naruto just let out a bellowing laugh. "Stronger than I could imagine. I've seen the strongest, and I have quite the imagination. Your beloved Dodo-sama has no idea what strength is, fool," replied Naruto before he readied his wrath hammer and saw Nadare's eyes widen in horror. "Wait, I told you what you needed to know. Mercy! Show mercy!" begged Nadare while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. "Like you were going to show the princess here with your idea on how to make her your bitch by raping her, by possibly getting her pregnant and Dodo keeping her alive long enough for the child to be brought into the world to be molded into a successor to the throne. You are not worthy of mercy," exclaimed Naruto as he raised his weapon up higher over his head and brought it down on the now screaming Nadare. "Good riddance," remarked Koyuki with Naruto flicking the bloody remains of his wrath hammer before turning to face her. "I actually feel sorry for the snow here. All that pure white color as far as the eye can see has now become tainted by this mangled corpse," added Naruto before walking over to her along with Guy and Lee. "If what our now dead foe claimed is indeed true, Dodo will seek the jewel Koyuki-sama has in her possession, and Koyuki-sama herself more than ever," stated Guy with Naruto, nodding. "Why does he need me at all? Why not just have me killed and take the jewel?" asked Koyuki with Naruto smirking at her. "Politics. It's the oldest cutthroat game there is in the world. Dodo may have killed your father to take over Snow Country, but you are the rightful heir to the throne, and only by abdicating it to him will he have the legitimate right to do it. If he were to kill you, the political backlash would be huge. Some daimyos from nearby land could have challenged his right to the throne on the grounds of how he killed the members of his family to get it. and a war could have broken out. If you were made to sign some kind of agreement that stated you were surrendering your position on the throne to him, it would make the whole change legal, and no one could fight your uncle over it, explained Naruto, with Koyuki shaking her head. I can't do that. I've neglected my people long enough. I won't surrender my position over to my uncle, stated Koyuki firmly, with Naruto smirking at her. There is hope for this woman yet, thought Naruto before they began walking back to the large group that had followed their trail. We followed you here because the map showed this is the best path to the capital. It's why Nader went in this direction, explained Shikamaru, while Tenten scoffed. You just wanted to get away from the deep snow because your feet were getting numb from standing around doing nothing, remarked Tenten, with Shikamaru grumbling about women and them being troublesome. In any case, we should be able to reach the capital in a few days with this group if it moves at a steady pace, stated Shikamaru, with Naruto nodding. What about our prisoner? Did she say anything? Asked Naruto, with Fubuki tied up and glaring at him. Other than cursing us for defying Dodo. No, answered Neji, with Naruto letting out an amused chuckle. Why is it you serve Dodo? Surely you do not believe this man is capable of bringing about a new age of greatness for your country? Questioned Naruto, with Fubuki flinching slightly under his gaze. No, but he has employed me to carry out his mission to the letter. It is my duty as one of this country's shinobi to obey its ruler no matter who it is that sits on the throne, replied Fubuki, with Naruto nodding, since that was the case for all shinobi from each village. And if he wasn't sitting on the throne, you do know he is not the rightful ruler of this country, right? Questioned Naruto, with Fubuki not answering him for a moment. Even if he wasn't the ruler of Snow Country, Dodo is still our client and has paid us for our services, answered Fubuki, with Koyuki stepping forward. And if the ruler of Snow Country commanded you to end the contract with Dodo, would you? Questioned Koyuki, with Fubuki looking at her for a moment. No, I can't. Once the contract has been accepted, I cannot end the mission unless it is a success, or a failure on my part, answered Fubuki, while Naruto sighed. That is too bad. I was hoping you would join us in our fight against Doto. Now you are officially our prisoner. Shikamaru, I leave her in your capable hands for the time being, said Naruto, with the Nara sputtering in shock. Me? Why? Asked Shikamaru, with Naruto grinning. Would you rather be on the front lines or helping the film crew here lift heavy movie equipment? Questioned Naruto, with Shikamaru looking from the film crew to Fubuki before letting out a sigh. Fine. I accept responsibility for her, but I do so under protest, replied Shikamaru, while muttering troublesome under his breath, while Naruto chuckled. Don't worry, Shikamaru. She'll make a fine wife for you in a few years when you're old enough to get married, remarked Naruto, while Shikamaru sputtered again, while Fubuki looked like her head was ready to explode in protest. That's not what I meant, Naruto, yelled Shikamaru before putting a hand over his mouth, and everyone glared at him, since his voice echoing around them. Could you be any louder? I don't think Iwa heard you, remarked Yugao, while she now glared at Shikamaru through her Neko mask. Troublesome warlords, troublesome women all around giving me crap. I might as well be in hell, whispered Shikamaru before sweating a bit when he felt the various pair of female eyes glaring at him. What did you say? Asked all the females of the group, while Shikamaru started to burst out into a nervous sweat. Nothing at all, exclaimed Shikamaru quickly. That's what we thought, was the answer from all the women, and the Nara wiped the sweat off his forehead. Damn women. At least they can't scold me for thinking things inside my head. Well, so long as Ino isn't around to experiment with one of her clan jutsus to know what I'm really thinking about, troublesome women, thought Shikamaru while he was watching Fubuki carefully like Naruto ordered him to do. The group eventually made its way to a now revealed rail line for a train, with Koyuki explaining the purpose of the trains and how they moved along the rail from one place to the next. While the group as a whole was impressed, they were soon cautious when they heard rumbling and had to dive out of the way to avoid the massive mechanical beast that was the train being commanded by Dodo. I see Nader and his shinobi failed to capture you, Koyuki. Though considering your protection detail, it's no real surprise, and just proves Snow Shinobi are the weaklings I always knew they were. I only hired them because they are cannon fodder, and to distract you until the main event comes, replied Dodo as he appeared from the head of the train, and smiled arrogantly at them all. You won't win, Dodo. Your tyranny ends today, exclaimed Sandayu while Dodo laughed at him. Is that you, Sandayu? The years have not been kind to you. Though considering how you have had to serve such a spoiled girl like my niece. All her fits, screams, and tantrums she must have given you while growing up, while becoming a star in the acting world. How does it feel knowing you are trading me in for her? A strong ruler for a spoiled brat, who we both know is unworthy of the title of daimyo, and never was worthy from the start. Can you imagine her as daimyo? Running away when meetings are being held, throwing a tantrum when things don't go her way, and let's not forget how she'll no doubt bully the servants when they perform their assigned tasks, replied Dodo before laughing at him. Better a spoiled child than a cruel tyrant who thinks only for himself and smears the blood of his servants all over the walls, no matter how loyal they are to him, countered Sandayu with Dodo laugh. I don't care how loyal my subordinates are to me. If they do their job well, they get to live to serve me for another day. But a screw-up from anyone lower than myself deserves to be killed for even the smallest infraction. That is how you rule over the meager and weak peasants of a country, stated Dodo with Naruto scoffing. And some people wondered why it was so easy to take over rice and water country, remarked Naruto with Dodo scowling at him. So, the self-proclaimed warrior and savior of the oppressed graces me with his presence. To be honest, I was expecting someone with your reputation to be much older and more mature. Not some snot-nosed punk of a kid playing warlord, said Dodo with Naruto's eyes narrowing at him. Come fight me so I can make you eat those words after choking on my fist, exclaimed Naruto with Dodo laughing. Like, I would even waste my time and strength fighting an impudent child like yourself, replied Dodo with Naruto snarling at him, before letting a cruel smile grace his masked face. I knew you were a coward, Dodo, but to hide behind your men and toys when facing a mere child is just sad. It's pathetic. You hide behind your train, your snow shinobi, and all your other subordinates because you're afraid of me, Naruto said in a mocking tone that didn't sit well with Dodo. You play a dangerous game, boy, warned Dodo while Naruto laughed. What game? All I see is pathetic little man too afraid to face me. What's wrong? Afraid to leave your poor train unattended like it was your favorite toy. Are you a ruler of this country? Or perhaps you are the spoiled child in an adult's body, and are afraid someone will steal your precious train from you, continued Naruto in a mocking tone before he laughed at the now angry man. Damn brat. I'll show you what this train can do, exclaimed Dodo before hitting the roof of the train twice, and several of the cars attached revealed they had projectile weapons in the form of arrows aimed at them. So the spoiled child brought out his toys to play with us. How nice of you, remarked Naruto sarcastically with a sneer on his face while going through hand signs. Fire! Commanded Dodo, and the barrage of arrows came flying their way. Earth style. Stone wall. Jutsu! Called out Naruto with a massive wall made of stone rising up and shielding them from wave after wave of arrows. Still think Dodo is worth following? Asked Tenten to Fubuki, while the light pink-haired woman looked down in shame. You can lecture her later. We need to take care of that train. I need a few of you to run some interference. Gay, Lee, Neji, Tenten. I need you four to draw Dodo's attention away from here, commanded Naruto with a grin on his face that promised pain to whoever was in his crosshairs. Please tell me you're not going to do what I think you're going to do, Naruto, remarked Shikamaru with Naruto letting out a chuckle. Would you like to do it in my place? Questioned Naruto with Shikamaru, still hearing the sounds of arrows hitting the stone barrier the warlord had made. No, good hunting. Hit him once for me since doing it myself is too troublesome, said Shikamaru quickly while waving his hands defensively. You coward! What kind of man are you? Demanded Fubuki while the Nara grumbled. The kind that is afraid of his mother and angry women in general, answered Naruto for Shikamaru, before rushing off with his wrath hammer in hand, while the Nara slumped his head in defeat and embarrassment. Damn you, Naruto, thought Shikamaru, while some of the people around him snickered at his expense. Speaking of Naruto, the warlord himself had leaped high over his stone barrier, hitting the soft snow first and hard ground second before running quickly down the slope. Dodo, who was busy commanding his henchmen below to reload and fire at the moving targets around him, was unable to react fast enough when Naruto charging toward the train itself. Dodo snarled in anger at seeing Naruto charge at high speed. A blur of a crimson line was all his eyes saw before the descendant of Shao Khan leaped into the air, wrath hammer above him with both hands, and bellowing massive war cry while descending down on the train to cause a massive explosion that destroyed the entire line in the process. Whoa! That was incredible, exclaimed the film director while asking his cameraman if he got with the guy nodding enthusiastically. They were definitely using this for their movie. I think you went overboard, Naruto, remarked Tenten, while Guy and Lee went on a rant about how his springtime of youth was truly remarkable. Something Naruto ignored. Call it what you will, Tenten, but I know one thing, and one thing only right now about this moment in time, stated Naruto with a grin. What's that exactly? Asked Neji with Naruto still grinning. I will never stop loving this badass weapon, answered Naruto with everyone around him, anime sweat dropping. Kami, if you love me even a tiny bit, I beg of you, please don't have my mother make a request to have that weapon made for her. If she succeeds, no Nara male in my clan is safe, thought Shikamaru fearfully while images of his mother having that weapon in hand when she wished to enforce her presence on him and his father appeared. He shivered in horror. Of course, the apparent victory was short-lived when they looked up to see one of Snow Country's legendary airships that it was rumored to possess, and Dodo was on it. Without warning, Dodo used a grappling hand similar to the late Fuyukuma Mizore, and grabbed Koyuki before retracting it back to him. You played the game well, boy. I'll give you that. But in the end, you are no match for your betters, and still have much to learn in being a warlord. Maybe in a few years I will be kind enough to teach you, and show just how a ruler should act, exclaimed Dodo with his ever-arrogant life echoing throughout the sky. Fool! As if I would give up that easily, said Naruto before he dispelled his wrath hammer away and charged toward the highest hill spot closest to the airship. Naruto, wait for us, exclaimed Tenten as she, along with Neji, Guy, and Lee tried to catch up to him since they had a pretty good idea of what he was planning. Putting a great deal of power into his legs, Naruto plowed through the snow like it wasn't even there, and made the biggest leap into the air so far in the history of his life. Grabbing onto the dangling ladder which Naruto suspected Dodo used to get onto the airship in the first place, the still-growing warlord began to climb with the jolting sensation below on the ladder, telling him that Gay, Neji, Lee, and Tenten had also jumped onto it. Hurry! We probably have a few minutes to attack with the element of surprise, stated Naruto before climbing up the ladder with the others right behind him. The group soon ran through the airship until they reached what was the bridge of the ship and smashed the door down to see a shocked Dodo holding an equally shocked Koyuki by the throat. Even more surprising was Naruto could see the man was also wearing chakra armor, but this seemed to be an upgraded model, and the growing warlord wondered if the weaknesses from the older models had been removed. So you made it here. You're persistent, boy. I'll give you that, said Dodo while he kept his hold on Koyuki's neck, firm to the point where a mere flick of his wrist would result in snaking her neck. I can do more than you could ever imagine doing, Dodo-tan, replied Naruto while the tyrant of Snow Country sneered and held his niece close to his chest. Not without risking my niece here, you won't, remarked Dodo with a smirk on his face. And you won't risk killing her either. Not unless you want to risk the legitimacy of your claim to the throne or what little time you have in life after I get through with you if she dies, countered Naruto with Dodo frowning. I'm the later daimyo's brother. I would have a claim to the throne whether my niece were alive or not, replied Dodo with Naruto letting out a chuckle. Not if you kill her. The world frowns on that kind of thing, and none of the remaining daimyos in the elemental countries will support your right to rule Snow Country, said Naruto with Dodo sneering at him. As if you are one to talk, brat. You took Fire, Rice, and Water Country right out from the ruling daimyos while annexing the remains of Whirlpool Country, challenged Dodo with Naruto's smirk increasing. That's because my mother was of royal blood from the Uzumaki clan, and married the Yondaime Hokage to make my right to rule legitimate, regardless of those so-called rulers I took down. Besides, we both know those daimyos were weak, spineless, and cared little to nothing for the suffering of the people they ruled over, countered Naruto with a smirk on his face.